Hi there, Evan here with Crypto and Markets for Tuesday, April 10th, 2018. Had a long day. I'm sure you've all heard the news about 10 times by now. Stock market was up roughly about 1.5% today. U.S. trade war is over. Everything's fine and dandy again. I'm here to tell you there's way bigger problems out there. Now, I know what you're going to say. Evan, you're ignoring it. Evan, you're doing this. Evan, you're doing that. Give me thumbs down, whatever. I don't care. I'll go ahead and say it anyhow. There's way bigger problems out there. Case in point. I did a video on this. I touched on this roughly about 2 weeks ago. The LIBOR OIS spread. The LIBOR, the London Interbank Offered Rate, the rate where banks around the world set to lend to each other, and then the overnight index swap, OIS. It's the swap based on central bank rates. Biggest one used for that is the Federal Reserve. So it's a spread between what the banks are lending to each other for and the central bank rates. Went up again today. It's now at 57 basis points. And remember what I said. When it gets over 50, it's a sign of financial difficulty in the credit system. Great indicator. This is also a great indicator of the 2007-2008 subprime crisis. Now again, U.S. isn't having a subprime crisis. Where their problem is consumer loans. People are starting to default on their car loans now the last year or so. Credit card charge-offs have been going up the last 2 years. Like I've said, the problem they're going to have is on the consumer loan side. You're starting to see this show up now. And with the U.S. being a services and consumer-led economy, we all know where that's going. Oh, here's the best one. Novotny, one of the ECB governors, comes out today and says, oh, the ECB should go out and hike rates. What impeccable timing. Have you seen the European PMIs lately? Did you see the German one last month at 47? Have you seen where the European stock markets are? Have you seen the DAX chart? Again, like 2011 when Trichet did those 2 rate hikes that caused their last problem. Goes to show you the ECB's timing on rate hikes is A-OK in everyone's book, I guess. Then, of course, you have more tightening. Federal Reserve's been raising rates. Bank of England wants to hike. The Reserve Bank of Australia wants to hike. Bank of Canada wants to hike. All these central banks want to hike around the world right into a global slowdown. Great job, guys. Great job. Timing is impeccable as always, I guess. So there's another problem. Of course, I did 2 videos on this last week. The Baltic Dry Index. The proxy for global trade. In fact, I'll thumbnail it right onto this video. Great correlation between that index and the S&P 500 going back to 2015. In fact, when China had their first slowdown in 2015, and when we had actually our last growth scare back in 2015, that was actually a great indicator. Now, I know what you're going to say. Some of that was the fact that they had built too many ships at the time. Okay, I realize that. But is that the reason why it's down 45% from the peak this time? In only about 4 months? Again, you tell me. And of course, you also have the Chinese credit impulse, the industrial metals. I won't beat that dead horse again. They're on the way down. Copper's starting to work for us now, too. And then, of course, lastly, I'll touch on it briefly here. Syria. If the Trump administration decides they want to go ahead and strike Syria, the market's definitely going to take a hit on that. So definitely something to keep your eye on. So to put it in closing, the media and everyone on TV is letting you know Everything's fine and dandy. Throw all your money in the stock market again. But just be aware that I've mentioned many times before, we keep whistling through the graveyard. A combination of quantitative tightening right into a global slowdown is the bus virtually no one still sees coming. Perfect place to go ahead and leave it. Hit the like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe. Y'all take care, everybody.